Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this evening's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And this is fun for me. We should have done this together in the same room. I don't know why I didn't think of that until just now, this second. Sarah's what, 30 minutes away from me, maybe? I'm in Santa Barbara.
Yes.
There's up in the country in this beautiful hillside with horses and ranches and just this amazing plethora of abundance that she lives in, that I got to visit for the first time last week or the week before. And talk about someone who follows the path of abundance, of opening, of what's available next, and the listening. And how the synchronicities with that, the messages that come through just lead to the next evolution of what's possible, not only in receiving shit, but really in beingness. And breathing into that and just knowing. And again, for me, over the last week, it's this conversation about going beyond the threshold of safety, landing into something else, because so many of us live in safety mode. Is it safe to be here? Is it safe to ask for this? Am I asking too much? Am I not asking enough? And all this searching that we do in the name of safety, if you will. And Sarah's taking it to a different point, and that flow state that she lives in, but very grounded and very capable also of connecting with her knowing, with her intuition, that gold, that well of abundance that flows through. So Sarah's can talk about any topic, and it's going to bring us back to this love within ourselves. But the way that it relates and brings us back in, and we get to open and explore what else is becoming available in awareness is extraordinary. So on today's call, we're going to, Sarah's going to talk about what is the greatest wealth on the planet at this time and why? And are we allowing or denying our infinite abundance? How to go beyond the illusion. Y'all have heard this, but really pay attention tonight. This is so important, to go beyond the illusion of lack and limitation. And there's so much more. Again, with Sarah, we're just going to open it up and it's going to flow through. So we'll probably open up to Q&A. I say probably because if we get on a roll with Sarah coming through and all that, we're just going to continue going because it's golden every time. But we'll probably get into Q&A. And I hope that you take this time to sit back, to relax, to receive, to enjoy, to be in curiosity, and maybe be inspired by some awe and wonder during the call. And if you don't know Sarah, you're in for an amazing surprise. I'm not really going to say much or read her bio. We're going to let Sarah's talking do the walking, truly. And Sarah, with that, thank you so much for being back. It's so, again, I wish we had done this together somehow. I don't know why I didn't think of that until now, but here we are. Yeah.
It's funny. I thought of it a while ago, and then and just when we started, I had the same thing. I'm like, wait, why aren't we in the same place? But we are in the same place. So energetically, that's what matters. We are transcending time and space to be together, even though we're not in the same room. But thank you for that introduction. And it's just such an honor and such a joy to be here with you. I am really excited for this conversation today. And as you were reading the topics that we are going to cover today, I was one of those people who had heard those words many times, and I knew somewhere within me that they were truth. And I knew somewhere within me there was this inherent birthright we have to be abundant and live our life to the fullest and have a beautiful life. I knew that. And you and I have had very similar journeys that we have talked about and we have shared, but there were moments on that journey where I had to do the scariest thing I could have possibly imagined. The biggest fear, the least comfortable thing possible, to move in the direction of my happiness, which is a quote from a dear friend, move in the direction of your happiness. But there are times in your life when you are going to see the paths going in two different directions. And your heart, your energy, everything might be leading you and guiding you someplace new that you've never been before. And then you have everything safe and secure that has defined you. And it is your greatest obstacle to walk away from that comfort or make changes in your life or move towards that thing that you're being drawn to, this greater calling. That is all I could identify for many, many years of my life. And it's a perfect way to explain it. I just had some greater calling, something that was calling me. I didn't know what it was or where it was. Now I would tell you it's your soul, it's your higher self. It's this part of you that is always one with source and the divine, that knows who you are and knows where you are and knows what's possible for you, has never forgotten the truth of who you are, and knows every gift in your heart, knows every dream in your heart, knows what you're capable of, knows what's possible for you. And if you stay sometimes in what seems like the safe and secure, you never really discover those gifts, those dreams, those greater potentials and possibilities. And this doesn't mean that you have to make any big decisions in your life. In fact, the understanding of allowing things to be choiceless, following the energy and letting light guide the way. When do you know when you should move, make a change? When it is absolutely choiceless. When you have just come to this place where it's just so clear that that's the next step. And then you've got to trust that there's some power greater than you that knows who you are and knows where you are and knows the easy, effortless path to what is in your highest good and what is in the highest good of everyone involved. But in the spirit of abundance and prosperity and going beyond lack and limitation, it's really about who you become in your life and elevating, it's we're going to talk about today, elevating your consciousness level to a state where you know that living a fuller, richer, more meaningful life is possible for you no matter where you are in this moment. And we often use the word change to add sort of this like drama to whatever we're going through. Oh, we're going through big changes, right? You're navigating through levels of creation. And that just feels a little bit different than this idea of big, scary changes and being uncomfortable. No, somewhere on some level, you have created this. Your soul has been leading you, guiding you. You have been visualizing this. You have been dreaming about it, even if it wasn't specific. And so I want to sort of provide a different perspective on wealth and abundance and prosperity. In the spiritual world, I was guided one time before a channel that we did to look up the word, look up the understanding of spirituality. And it's to be concerned with, matters of the soul as opposed to anything materialistic or in the physical. And I would invite you to look at it differently. It is through a deeply grounded, present connection to form and life and resources and connections and all of the goodness that is here for you, that we open up to other levels of spirituality. And so money is just an energy. Abundance is just a mindset. Abundance, the idea of being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, the ability to create what you want to create when you want to create it, create what you're inspired to create. That's living this more abundant, fuller, richer life. And as I alluded to, we know our stories pretty well, John, because we're good friends. But you and I both on this path walked away from a lot of safety and a lot of security, and to the point where we had essentially nothing left from our former lives.
2 suitcases,
yeah, except for who we had become.
My dignity as well. Yes, thank you.
And obviously we take all the love with us from everyone we've ever loved and the experiences and who we've become. But I thought that, if I'm following the right path, then you should, everything should be, the red carpet rolled out. It's this whole idea that if you're in the right vibration, you get the first class airplane seat and checks just show up in the mail. And yet I'd like to offer a little different perspective on that. Yes, you might have some of those experiences, but it is not until you really shift your mindset in your consciousness into a place of true abundance, a true alignment to your infinite abundance and well-being, that you will see how everything is always working out for you, showing up to support you. And maybe, just maybe, there's something even better in this situation than the money you think you need to do it. And those are some of the amazing miracles and magical things that happen on this path. So I honor you, my friend, because I love that we are having this conversation today. I love the background that you have. It's like the perfect background. And, you know, we have just, let's up level our whole consciousness about what we think about living a prosperous, abundant, wealthy life in all areas of our lives. This is not just a conversation about money, but we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. What's wonderful, and what I want to allude to a little bit also, it's some of the pitfalls of spirituality, how it's taught through community in different ways. And the interpretations, or maybe even the hope that we grasp onto it, or my interpretation of the hope. And see others going on that path. But sometimes we feel, again, if we acclimate in these particular ways, then suffering won't be there. We won't have to be afraid anymore. We don't have to doubt that everything is just that gravy train to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. But in the creations, what it's actually teaching us is also how to tune our bodies to old responses of fear, so that the fear doesn't overtake us, so that we're not afraid of the changing of consciousness that's occurring, that we don't get so intimidated and retract when we have that nervous system response, that we know it's just part of the natural part of the process, and our body's catching up. But your example of when you found the house and these dreams that you were having, that you were leaving this dream house that you loved, or I can't say a dream house, but you were so embedded and it felt so like, I'm not leaving anytime soon. And then Sarah shared how she got prompted into, I can't believe everything is shaking. And it was a short trigger. It didn't last so long because of your awareness in it. But even as you were creating abundance to the next thing, that in-between state, the bodily response was still there. And it's something that you had compassion for and understanding for, but it didn't navigate the reality that you were creating. And so when we get into this work, it's not that you don't have fears or doubts sometimes, or question some of the information that you're getting, but it's all part of the dance that comes through. And we can't expect to eliminate those emotions from our being. We just can't. They still come up, but there's a different way in which you have relationship with them, and you do that so beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the topic for this show is the greatest wealth on the planet. And it came from this channel from the council, which said, right now and in times to come, the greatest wealth on your planet is going to be consciousness. And those who are living at the highest level within this human experience are going to be based on the level of consciousness someone is in. And if you've heard the word consciousness a lot, you're like, okay, great. What does all that mean? And when we go back to what you're just saying here, it all comes back to consciousness. One of the pivotal moments that completely shifted my perspective, probably one of the most important teachings that has ever come through in my work, was in response to a question where this woman was trying to ask the council what she's supposed to do if this happens, and what is she supposed to do if this happens, and what is she supposed to do if this happens. And the fear and the worry and the overwhelm and the emotional triggers and the responses. And they simply said, if you knew, no matter whatever happened, you could, within a few moments, come back into a conscious state of alignment, or elevate your consciousness, or better yet, if no matter what ever happens, you can stay conscious and present and in the moment and in your heart, you will never worry about anything ever again. And you will never fear anything ever again. When you truly master the art of being conscious in the moment, no matter what. And so whatever you're going through, whether it's business stuff or big changes in your life, or you're navigating through creation, or old things are falling away and you find yourself in this new place, if you know, no matter what is ever going on, that you can come into the moment and stay conscious, which is where all of your power is, which is where inspiration is, which is where source is, God is, the divine is. It's in the moment, but it's in a different level of consciousness than in fear and chaos. So when people say they're angry at God, or they don't trust God, or they don't have faith, what they're really saying is they don't have the faith or the belief in themselves to stay conscious and present in the moment, to connect to that source, God, divine, that is always available to you, no matter what it is. And so you're alluding to this conversation where many of you who've known me for a long time know the house I was formerly in, I absolutely loved. I had no plans of ever moving. I loved it. It was my dream house. I was living the dream that I had dreamed of for many, many years. And I woke up one morning and I woke up having a dream that had moved. And in the dream, I would grab a box and I would kind of swing it across the room and everything would land on the shelf. And I would do the next box, and in a few moments I was unpacked. But I woke up from the dream and I went, oh, I'm so glad I'm not moving. 2 hours later, I found out I was moving. And my first response was, oh my gosh, it was overwhelmed. But if I went, why is that? Because I'm in reaction and I'm triggered and I got to take some breaths and I got to step away. So I was in the middle of something and I stepped away for a few moments and I just took some deep breaths. And as soon as I started taking some deep breaths, instantly what popped in, which I know is truth, but had forgotten for a moment, is that everything is always working out for me. Somehow this has to be happening for me. Somehow this has to be happening for me. And that's the only thing I could get to. That is the level of consciousness I could get to, is breathing, and it's happening for me, right? And so from there, you can begin to move yourself up into higher levels of consciousness and awareness. And you can begin to tune into inspiration, and you can begin to follow the energy and follow where you're being led and where you're being guided. And there might be 20 steps, 50 steps, 100 steps before you get to this place where it's clear and you know why or how it's happening for you, or the path lights up. But when you can embrace the journey and start to get excited about how it's going to unfold, you can navigate through changes with a lot more peace and acceptance and staying connected, staying aligned, and staying conscious. So whatever line of work you're in, whatever place your life is in, whether it's a family situation, whether you work in a company, whether you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or a leader in some way, it is your consciousness that allows consciousness to flow into anything. And so when we talk about wanting to change the world, take any problem, any issue, anything that you see as a challenge in the world, it all comes back to consciousness. Every single thing. Every single thing that we think is wrong comes back to our level of consciousness. And the solution is always to raise your consciousness to the highest level, to elevate your state of consciousness. Now imagine if you're one that not only does that in your own life, but can do that in situations with your family, can do that in work environments, can do that as a leader out in the world. And you can be this conduit and this vessel where consciousness flows through, and a higher path, a better way, a more peaceful, harmonious solution is possible in these situations because you're elevating yourself out of fear. You're elevating yourself out of the trauma and the drama and the chaos and the gossip and all the things that we tend to get distracted in that hold us in feelings of pain and suffering and trigger our wounds. And that's all the unconscious. So I know this BTO community. I know it's full of leaders and wayshowers and the most amazing bright lights in this world. And what is being asked of all of us right now and forevermore in this human experience is to bring consciousness into every situation, every environment, every relationship, and know that that is why you're here. People ask all the time, what is my purpose? Why am I here? I know I'm here for a reason. And it ultimately comes back to you're here raising the vibration of the planet. You're here raising the consciousness level on the planet. How you do that is totally up to you. The way that is fun for you, how you express yourself, how you expand the experiences you have in your life, you get to choose. But ultimately, every single one of you are here to contribute to raising the consciousness level of the planet. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect. And that doesn't mean you don't have an emotional response once in a while. But it means you don't get lost in your own unconsciousness and end up in fear and suffering and worry and pain. So if you want to end the suffering on the planet, if you want to end the poverty on the planet, if you want to end the chaos and the pain and the struggle, you've got to end it in you. And then and only then can you move out into the world and be that instrument for raising consciousness on the planet and in all areas of your life. So it's worth it to do what you might call the work, but it's more about slowing down and taking some breaths and not allowing yourself to go back into the old stories, into the worry, into the suffering, to entangle. I say this with total compassion because, again, your wholeness, your worthiness, your perfection is who you are. It's not about doing this perfectly all the time. It's about having compassion for yourself when you're having those difficult times. But, there are just things in our day-to-day life where we have no tolerance for, right? You wouldn't allow someone to treat you a certain way. There's a certain level that of things that you just wouldn't do, whatever it is. And yet we give our brains a lot of time, the ability to do those things, even though in other areas of our life we say, oh, I wouldn't say that, or I wouldn't, do that or say that to someone, but then we do it and say it to ourselves, right? If someone was going through a difficult time, you'd never say to them, yeah, you basically ruined your life and it's going to suck and this is terrible and you're never going to be loved again and you should just feel so ashamed. We would never say that to someone we love that's going through a difficult time. Why would we say it to ourselves?
We wouldn't even say it to people we hate.
So why would we say it to ourselves? Mm-hmm. And again, it's just a level of consciousness. So in the moment, we can't always get to bliss, pure joy, there's only love. Maybe you can't always get there in the first breath, in the first moment. But if you can accept what is in the moment, you automatically begin to elevate your consciousness level to where there are greater potentials and possibilities and a grander perspective of what's going on in the moment. And again, this all comes back to consciousness. So if you want to tune into a more inspiration, divine guidance, that connection to your infinite abundance, it comes by elevating your consciousness.
Why is this calling so strong now? Why is this calling to live a fuller, richer, more abundant life calling so strongly, so many of us, in ways that it hasn't before?
Oh, I think it's a great question. I should turn it around and make you answer it first.
No, you're the guest. You're answering. Thank you. I'm loving this.
There's something in my soul that just knows now is the time, and this is what we've been preparing for. Yeah. We have just seen an incredible transformation of human consciousness. We have just been through something unprecedented on our planet. And we're starting to move back into the world and interacting. And there is no greater time than for you to emerge as the butterfly. You know, the council says you are emerging from these beautiful COVID cocoons as the bright but beautiful butterflies that you are. And truly, wherever we got, which is why we're going to talk elevating yourself out of lack and limitation, the illusion of lack and limitation, a lot of these silly beliefs of lack and limitation obviously are an illusion, but you probably don't even know where you got them. And it doesn't really matter, but there's somewhere within you that knows. You are here. You wouldn't have agreed to come here if the purpose of life was to struggle and suffer. The purpose of life is not poverty, is not fear. It's not. It's experiences, expansion, expression. This life experience can be anything you want it to be. And I really know that, and I really mean that. And now is the time to live your life to the fullest and to love fully and to be all that you are. And it's just a knowing in you probably, but then it's a choice you make. And you continue to make. When you catch yourself about to tell the story, the old story of the illusion of lack in your life, make the choice. Make the choice to come back in the moment and elevate your consciousness and get back in alignment with the abundant and prosperity and well-being that is here for you and available to you. I say this often, right? I believe the sun and the moon and the stars all have a role in our lives, right? All of nature is affected by the planets, the sun, the moon, the stars, all these things. So to think we're not is sort of silly. But again, it comes back to consciousness, right? Being mean to someone or being completely in a state of suffering because it's Mercury retrograde, like that doesn't make any sense, right? You need extra consciousness then. It's an extra deep time to be even more conscious with yourself, right? Again, it's happening for you. That being said, there seems to me like no accident whatsoever that as we're emerging from this time of COVID, this great transformation that has occurred on our planet within us and all around us, that it's more important than ever that you emerge as a leader and a way shower in your own life. And it is time for everyone on this path to really embrace their infinite abundance and to understand that the greatest wealth you have is your consciousness, the wisdom. You have all been doing this work. I feel pretty confident being able to say, you've all been doing this work for a really long time. It's time to really embrace all of the consciousness, all of the wisdom that you have, that is what makes you able to be in your power and be the powerful creators that you are and live at the highest level of wealth. So what is wealth? It's a plentiful supply of resources. That's it. Mm-hmm. Plentiful supply. One of the best affirmations from the council ever. Galore, galore. I always have everything I need and more. That is an affirmation for wealth. Galore, galore. I always have everything I need and more. And so an abundance of resources. We tend to only think of wealth as money. And you're part of living proof of this in my life, John Burgos. Plentiful supply of resources means connections, opportunities, partnerships, money, time, love. There's a whole lot of resources that all contribute to being wealthy and abundant. And there are connections and resources that are absolutely priceless. So you might think you need money, and money could take you from here to there. But the universe, source, God, the divine, when you elevate your consciousness and you expand this force field of consciousness that is you, and the particles of infinite creation within it begin to respond to you, you might have a connection that takes you from here to here, someplace you never could have gone before. And I never get tired of singing your praises and expressing my deep gratitude and appreciation for you in my life. But I wouldn't be where I am without you. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't. And I think about, and this is one of my absolute favorite processes and favorite exercises, if you want to shift into alignment with infinite abundance and start to feel like the wealthiest person on this planet, then I can just take my relationship with you and look at all of the things that never would have, I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be living where I'm living. I wouldn't have the life that I have if the universe, God, divine hadn't sent me the gift of you. Mm-hmm. The doors that have opened for me, the people you've connected me with, the friendships I've made, the experiences we've had, the things we've created, the community that has been created that so many came from BTO, the connections and friendships I've made inside of the BTO community is absolutely priceless. Money couldn't buy it. Mm-hmm.
And the intimacy, mm-hmm. Just nothing, it's nothing, you can't put a price tag on that. You can't buy it at stores, and it's so deep, and so there's a purity to it that it's beyond extraordinary. It's divine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there was a time in my life many years ago when I was leaving the corporate world and it was just a very different state of my life than I am now. I would have said, I need more money. Money is going to be the thing that leads to that happiness, that leads to that level of fulfillment. And so I was laser focused on how do you make more money and how do you get more money and how do you, sell more stuff and create bigger businesses and all of this stuff. And yet the reason I believe it felt so off or felt like such a struggle was because that's not really what I was desiring to create. That wasn't really the desire. And when you understand that, when you get to a particular place, and if you just take anything in your life that you feel blessed about and you look back, how'd you meet that person? How'd you end up in that place? Start looking at all the experiences, all of the blessings, all of the gifts. I had a call last week with two amazing people in my community who are really dear friends, and they've had this company for several years. They put a lot of money into it, a lot of time into it, and it hasn't materialized to what they thought it would. And they weren't quite sure what to do. They were definitely in resistance and feeling kind of stuck and unsure. And should they sell it? Should they get an investor? Should they just close it up? And again, this is just the consciousness thing. It's like in that moment, you can go, oh, well, you should do this, or you should do that, you should do this. And the more we can really practice just holding space, elevating our consciousness, and just letting the highest good come through. Mm. Knowing that that does not come from our logical mind. It comes from this force field of consciousness that is you, that is never separate from you. And what came through was, look at all the blessings, though. Look at all the people you never would have met. Look at the experiences you wouldn't have had. Look at who you've become. Like, get into that state, get into that level of vibration. Go there first. And then it'll be choiceless. And the same is true if there's anything in your life that you think you want or need, if you're feeling that, if you're in that illusion of lack or limitation in some area of your life. And, absolutely, this is a practice. This is a practice. It is not about getting to the place where you don't have any dreams anymore. This is about being proactive as the creator that you are of your life. Absolutely. But not having to create a whole lot of resistance in order to expand into more and experience more or a more richer, fuller, abundant life. And so when you get in the stage of realizing that money can just not buy the life you've had, and the blessings and the miracles and the people and the relationships and all of it, when you get to that place where you can say, money just couldn't buy this, it's priceless, then you're in alignment with infinite abundance. And it is the perfect law of the universe that then, in your alignment to infinite abundance, all sorts of resources and doors begin to open for you. But that's not what we learn to do. We think we know what the problem is. How much money do we need to fix it? And then we just go out there and try to logically figure that out.
Right. And we push through it and we mortgage our happiness and postpone it until later, because if we do this, then we can be happy afterwards. Yeah. But it's on borrowing, it's on loan, and God only knows if you're going to be able to get to that place if you keep borrowing on interest, and it's compounded, and your health suffers and your relationships suffer because you're not in alignment with the truth of what you're seeking. So I love what you're speaking into. This is so profound. It seems so simple, but why is it so hard, Sarah?
Because this isn't how everybody else does it.
Yeah.
And if you're out there telling everybody what your financial problems are, then they're also going to go into their logical mind and give you logical ways to go figure out how to get more money and solve the problem. There's something in us that knows that that is just not how we want to live. And do you think you would have signed up to come into this human experience to live under that level of lack? When there's not a single one of you listening to this that does not know that at a minimum, you're a child of God. If you can get to the place where you know that you are that which you call God, God is everything. God is the source. God is the creator. That is what you are. Even if you don't, if it's uncomfortable for you to embrace the idea that you are the I am that I am, that all powerful ultimate affirmation, even if you go back to the Bible, right? I am that I am. That's the knowing that you are that extension of source, God, the divine. Nobody thinks of source, God, the divine as broke
No.
or struggling
Right.
or needing more money. You don't. And yes, money is part of this human experience. When you chose to come here, you knew money was part of this human experience. You knew that there was all sorts of different levels of consciousness available to you, but you knew in time you would remember.
Mm-hmm.
So you were not afraid. And you knew all of the experiences you had would provide data and information and clarity, so that when you did remember your power and you did remember that your source, God, the divine, that you could absolutely create the abundant, meaningful, prosperous life that you knew somewhere within you was possible for you. And that time is now.
It's beautiful.
Nobody thinks of God as needing more money to create, not having enough money to create. Why didn't God create this? Ran out of money. But money is an energy. Money is energy. And one of the things that changed my life, when I had probably the least amount of money I ever had in my life, I would not pay a thing, give $1, I wouldn't pay for groceries unless I could send love and bless that money. But that was not how I was feeling when I got myself into that situation. It was the exact opposite. I resented every dollar I had to pay. I stressed about paying bills. I didn't want to pay bills. I didn't want any money going out. So that illusion of lack and limitation that I created for myself created a very limited, lackful energy around money. And I can look back at this and see how absolutely perfect spiritual laws work. If you are resentful of every dollar you have and you try to hold on to it and you try to control it, and then you wonder why. I have to give proper credit to someone in my master's class program, or a couple different amazing people in my master's class program, but one was like, think of money as a friend. If you were like, oh, you're never there when I need you, there's never enough of you, why weren't you here on time? Where did you, right? If we took the controlling energy that sometimes we have when we're in lack or limitation around money and we apply it to money being a friend, you can see why it'd be running the other way. Mm-hmm. One of the fundamental two things I did that absolutely changed everything for me: the affirmation, galore, I have everything I need and more, in a time in my life when I absolutely did not believe that to be true. In fact, the time in my life when I was the most certain that I didn't have what I needed, that one affirmation changed my life. Wow. And I had to say it and say it and say it, and I was faking it until I make it. But I kind of, my consciousness, when I continued to affirm it, I finally got to the state of consciousness where I was like, maybe it was this awareness that came through, this question that came through in the state of consciousness that was like, how do you know you don't have everything you need and more? And it was like, well, because I can't do this. And it was like, how do you know you need to do that? Like, oh, maybe I'm running off in that direction, thinking that's what I need. And maybe that's not. So galore, I have everything I need and more. And the process of not putting any money into the world. Don't put money in a gas pump. Don't buy groceries. Don't pay a bill until you can bless it and send love. Infuse that energy, that money, that resource that you are putting in the world with love. And it's just thinking about, when you go to the grocery store and you buy anything, or you go to the gas station, or you go to a restaurant, even when you're paying your phone bill or your electric bill, if you stop for just a moment and think about all of the people, their time, their work, their effort, all the things that went into you being able to flip your light switch on, you being able to drive down the road Somebody built that road with their energy. Somebody laid the cable lines to your house so that you have a phone or an internet connection. Their energy. The farmer that grows the food. The person who loads the food and drives it to the store. The grocery store people that are getting up and driving to work to stock the shelves so you have food to eat. That is all energy that is going into this thing that you are exchanging your energy for the balance of that exchange. Money is an energy. If we want to get to a world where we don't need energy or where we don't need money and we live in complete harmony with the energetic balance of give and receive, we've got to start honoring the energy that's in everything that we are paying for, that we are spending money on. I mean, go sit by a, probably not great advice. Don't go sit too close to the railroad track, but go sit by a railroad track. I mean, I think about the miles and miles and miles and miles of railroads in the United States. Human beings put them there, pounded those boards and that metal, and their energy is in it. The trains that run over those railroads that bring food and fruit and vegetables and supplies, and the roads, there's energy in all of this. So it's really easy to be able to get to a point where you bless and send love into all of the money you're putting into the world. You will be in tears if you really do this process and realize all the abundance that goes into everything you take for granted on a day-to-day basis.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful what you're sharing. That also takes me into the places where we get into the lower consciousness, where we forget who we are, we forget the energy, we forget the I am. And bringing to this, I want to anchor it in it for a homework assignment for every one of y'all listening. And truly, it's such a simple homework assignment, but it's so powerful. And you can put it on your mirror. You can get lipstick and write it. You can set it next to your alarm clock, which is what I hope you do. So it's the first thing that you see every morning and when you go to bed. It's remember who you are. Write those words down. Remember in the gratitude in which Sarah's talking about. Remember in those tough times that you don't know, that seem insurmountable, how you feel like you're losing yourself in it. And the calling now more than ever for me also in this space is remember who you are. Write that down, keep it handy, and keep doing it over and over and over and over again. You won't forget, and you'll create differently. And what you're giving us today, this goal that you're weaving this conversation with, it's just time, Sarah. It's just time, and the access that we have to, and the hearts that we have worked on exposing and cracking open through all this other work that you have done. You're ready. It's time. And we've glimpsed remembering who we are, but no, it's time. It's that royalty, it's the dignity, it's the elegance that comes through. You remember who you are. So amazing. Sarah, we have to get into your special offer. Sarah's special offer is epic of what's being presented, and she timed it for us on BTO on when it goes live. So this is an amazing opportunity to go deeper with Sarah for always a generous offering price, and so much that becomes available. Again, so many people write in, oh my God, Sarah's course, it was so amazing. I changed so much, I shifted so much. I won't blab about it too much. Type the link, please, in the chat box. So if you go to the chat box on this webinar at the bottom, click on the chat box, and the link is in there to get to the special offer page. If you can't find it, or if you prefer to type, you can open up your web browser and go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Sarah24. And then it'll open up that same page that Sarah's about to guide us through. So Sarah, if you will, let us know what everybody's going to be participating in. And I say everybody because I hope everybody, every one of y'all participate in this.
Yeah, this course has been in the creative field for quite a while. And then we actually had it created. And it's like, nope, not time yet. And I'm like, but I want to do it so much. And then it was just like, no, it's time. And the name of the course is The Currency of Consciousness, Embracing Your Infinite Abundance. And I truly, truly believe this is what we have been collectively summoning, creating, imagining, visualizing. And I'll just go to the highest level for a moment because we alluded to a little bit earlier. I think we all can imagine a place where we live in such harmony and such freedom and such vibrational integrity that we have this way of exchanging what we need, where we don't need this middleman thing called money. But right now on our planet, we are in an experience of money. You know, just easy visual. If you think about heaven on earth, you imagine all beings and all people living harmoniously and purposefully and doing what they love and having the freedom to create and do what they want to do. We don't really think about money except for having all the money you need or want, but you don't really want or need the money. It's just, what is it, that life you want to be living that the money we think enables? So when we're holding this vision in the new earth of the highest potential, it would be that each person lives in such vibrational alignment and integrity with the give and receive energy. So the council says that the energy of giving, receive, and receiving are really one. And when you live really in integrity with that, there's no delineation between giving and receiving or receiving and giving. It's one energy. So in an ideal society, we would embrace our gifts. We would live our lives purposefully every day. We would do what we love in greater contribution and service to the all, not because we're trying to help people and fix people, and not because service is coming from, I have to serve to be worthy. It's coming from, I know my inherent worth, and I am here with a gift and gifts to give this world. And in giving those gifts, I am receiving everything I need and more. And it's in perfect harmony with this system that is balanced and works for everyone. Where we live at such a level of being satiated that there's more than enough for everyone, because everyone is using their gifts and contributing out of pure love and the joy. Money would be obsolete. And so we are moving towards that potential, that possibility, that level of existence. So for a lot of us, we might be holding that vision of abundance for everyone on this planet, freedom for everyone on this planet, well-being for everyone, but we must create it within us first. And so the way we would do that is when you are sharing your gifts and you're exchanging. So in an ideal type society, if someone was a really good baker and someone was a musician and someone really liked numbers, everyone would do what they love and contribute in a community, and everyone would have more. And everyone would live in a level of purposefulness. And so when we begin to understand that the path to that is consciousness, we've got to elevate ourselves out of lack and limitation into a level of consciousness that is aligned with our infinite well-being in order to start moving our communities and society and our world into more that is possible from that level of abundance. And it all starts with our consciousness. And so the council says wealth will come from consciousness. Abundance, prosperity is your inherent divine birthright. And you are either allowing it or you are denying it based on your level of consciousness. And so all of the courses that I do, it's so fun because I get to kind of live them in the birthing and the creation of them and the delivery of them. And this course is all going to be live. It's actually a 6-part. We're doing something really super special this time. It's a 6-part channeled live video course with Q&A, but we added a whole 6th session. Say that. A whole 6th session just dedicated to channeled Q&A with the council about how to really come into this embracing your infinite abundance and the understanding of how the greatest wealth on our planet is consciousness. And so it's going to be an amazing experience. The name of it, the energy of it, I can just feel it and I'm so excited about it. But we're going to really dive into, what does it mean to have a plentiful supply in your life? What does that mean? We're going to really expand our perspective on that. Consciousness as currency. We're going to dive into the energetic exchange and the actual formula for creation. Believe it or not, the formula for creation does not anywhere include money. Now, it doesn't not include money. It's just whatever is needed for that creation. It's consciousness is what moves energy into form, and it can take any form as long as we don't limit it. And I was certainly one of those that made money my middleman all the time. The money has to come. The money has to be there. The money has to be there. Until you begin to understand the formula for creation, you realize, well, if that's the easiest, effortless path, then the money will come or the money will be there. But there might be something so much better. We're going to dive into that. Then we're going to talk about the dreamer in the moment and perceiving yourself into more. If you have gone through financial struggle, which probably most of us have in our life at some point, whatever beliefs you were raised with, we really have to begin to perceive ourselves into more in order to open and allow more abundance in our life. This is so important, perceiving yourself into more in order to really allow more in your life. We are a force field of consciousness made up of particles of infinite creation that are always responding to you. And if you want to shift your life into being more abundant, fuller, richer, you have to allow the more abundant, fuller, richer part of you. We're going to talk about prosperity through our experiences, wholly embracing all that is here for you. And oh my gosh, when we really do that, it's so beyond what you ever thought possible. And we're going to dive more into why it's so important for all of us at this time to live at the highest level of abundance, whatever that means for you, whatever that means for you. And so this is starting live on 3 weeks from today, where we're recording it live, but on March 23rd. And it is going to be 6 Tuesdays in a row. We're just going to have an incredible experience, but we're doing something pretty fun. In the spirit of moving towards a more energetic exchange-based currency system, we are doing something different, which is this letting you choose your price. And we started doing this in our business a while ago because I really believe in it. I really believe in it. I want to live to see the day where we don't have to actually put a price on anything, that we ourselves live in such harmony with our own vibrational integrity that we just know the value, that we can recognize you. And this is, you cannot recognize the value and the worth in someone or something else until you recognize your own. And this goes back to, when this idea that if people pay more for something, that they value it more. And if they get it for free, they're not going to value it, right? We have that belief, and we can then go, well, that's our perspective, and we'll find that to be true. But we are in this course, in the currency of consciousness, moving ourselves individually and a collective, all of you who are part of this course, towards this place of absolutely living in such harmony with your own worth and your own value that we can begin to move towards a exchange system that is just based on total balance and energetic integrity. Mm. So there's a name your price option. There's 3 different price options. You can pick your price point, whatever feels good to you. I'm so excited about this course. Just the name, the currency of consciousness, to me is, it just says it all. The vibration of that, the energy in that. I can feel the absolute shift, the absolute quantum shift in going beyond what we have ever thought about wealth, currency, abundance, prosperity ever in our lives. So if you're not familiar with my courses or haven't been part of our courses in the past, the counsel is the incredible channeled wisdom that comes through, just the most amazing to me, truth, love, wisdom, and the grandest perspective of what's possible in our human experiences. And so this is going to be a channeled course. And all of the information comes from the channel, right? Of what is the highest perspective possible for us as it relates to wealth, abundance, and embracing your infinite abundance in your life.
Mm. Amazing what's being created. And what a beautiful invitation to be in this really very hyper conscious community that you attract also. I know some of the people that come to BTO, I've met some people that you've attracted in your community from other places, and the high level of compassion and consciousness, but also the level of open-heartedness and inviting people into community. It's extraordinary. It's really a refined place that once you get a taste or a glimpse of, it becomes very familiar and something that you'll no longer be willing to do without in the integrity of who you are. And so it's wonderful what gets created through your community, and then the consciousness that comes through and the counsel coming through, and your embodied living and walking what you're so committed to, not because you have to, not because you're trying to earn something, because it's just who you are. It's wonderful. Yeah. Y'all dive into the special offer. The offer, again, it's in the chat box. April's just typed it back in there for easy access. It's at the very bottom of the chat or at the very top, depending where you are when you open it. You'll find the link there, or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Sara24. Sara, you're about to say something.
I was just having this moment of, I so wish, truly hope, and know that every single person listening to this can do what they love all day, live an absolutely abundant, purposeful life, know that they are free to create the life that they want to live for them, no matter what. No matter what. And there is nothing better. I know you agree with me on this. There's just nothing better than really living your purpose every day in what you do. And that does not mean you have to leave your corporate job or your business or even have a job. It doesn't mean that as a mother or a father choosing to consciously raise your children, it doesn't mean that you can't achieve that where you are. But it all starts with the consciousness to know that it's possible for you. To let yourself even just perceive what it would be like every day to live a life you love and do what you love and live your purpose and contribute and know that you're in service to others and to something so much greater than yourself. Not because you're not enough, but just because you're so much more than this person you think you are. You're not just this human, and your human is incredible. The first step is you've just got to perceive that it's possible for you. What happens is most people get a little tiny glimpse of what that might feel like, or they see someone else doing it, and then they try to figure out how. And now they're in resistance, reaction, lack, limitation. And now all of a sudden you're back in the, it's too difficult. It's too much out of my comfort zone. And they just squash it. And I did that. So I can tell you, I saw other people living the way I wanted to live. And I tried to figure out how to make that happen. Instead of aligning to, right, this power, this consciousness, this source within you that knows where you are, knows what's possible for you, knows all of your gifts and your abilities. I didn't even know my abilities at that point. I didn't even know what these things we call our gifts. I didn't even know that I had them back then. But I was trying to figure out how to make something happen that from our limited human viewpoint, you just can't do. So when you feel yourself beginning to perceive what's possible for you, and you can hold the vision of that, and you can begin to imagine what it would feel like to have an abundant life and a meaningful life and a purposeful life and the freedom to do what you want to do, allow yourself to stay there and catch yourself when you go down into the resistance and reaction and try to figure it out. The path will unfold. I don't know any other way to say that. Things will show up in your life that you could never figure out. And that is going to be the very best part. And you are never going to figure it out. The council even says, we love that you just can't figure it out what's here for you, what's possible for you. We love that you're never going to figure it out. And as soon as you start loving that you're never going to figure it out, it's going to be a whole lot more fun for you. So
we get to be in awe and wonder at that point. And that's a whole different experience.
Isn't that what we want? You know, why is Christmas so fun, or the holidays so fun, or opening a gift? It's the awe and the wonder.
Yeah.
It's the awe and the wonder. And then we get to this point in our life, can certainly, you know, relate to this, where we want to figure it out. We want to have it all planned. We want to figure it all out. We want to make it all happen. But we want to live in the magical unfolding of an extraordinary life and magic and miracles. We want the awe and the wonder. You have to be willing to let go of it has to be my way. I got to figure it all out. That whole pushing energy where you think it should go. Instead of allowing. And you know, here's why we do that. Because we somehow think, you know, as like little babies, when a baby has everything it needs, it stops crying. So we think that we have to like constantly be begging the universe and crying out to the universe and telling the universe we're not okay, we don't have what we want, in order to get anything. And when you really come into the energy of, I have everything I need and more. When you really come into the energy of totally being satiated by all that is here and now, getting beyond needing or wanting, living in the awe and the wonder, that's when everything shows up. The council says the doorway into heaven on earth is being totally satiated by where you are here and now.
It's beautiful. It shows. I have an interesting question that came in from Diana. I want to read it to you because a lot of people get into this. So Diana writes, what if you're living your purpose, but the money's not showing up despite your efforts and positive mindset about money? I'm baffled. I thought I was living in alignment. You will have all that you need provided for you. And you often say that the money is not showing up. Or you often say that the money will show up, but it's not. Can you please help clarify why I'm struggling with this?
Well, there's a couple of different things. Really great question. Such an important question. I'm so glad you asked it, Diana. First off, I do believe money is never the issue, it's clarity. And I just completed a several session private series of business strategy with a group of entrepreneurs in my community. And we talked about there are different challenges where money wasn't showing up. And every single time we can go back to clarity. Clarity of your worth, clarity of your value, clarity of your boundaries, clarity of your service, clarity of what people receive from your service, clarity of the benefit, clarity in your own energy and vibration. And so somewhere in there is an opportunity for clarity. Now, please don't take this like you're doing something wrong in the manifestation creation process that money isn't showing up. Don't go into the blame. See it as an opportunity because it is. It's happening for you. And I know that sounds so painful when you're in it because I've been there. But there was a reason the money didn't show up. And as soon as I came to the level of clarity or taking your power back is a really big one, just asking yourself, am I in my power? So if you're asking the question, am I in my power? And the answer is no. Understand that that directly relates to source and you drawing abundance to you. I said earlier that you're a force field of consciousness made up of particles of infinite creation that are always responding to you. Those particles of infinite creation are not positive nor negative. They don't have an agenda. True creation has no agenda. The particles of infinite creation that make up the force field of consciousness that is you, they have no agenda. They are responding to you. So when you're looking at how the money isn't showing up, where it's not showing up, how long it's not been showing up, you are getting more of what you're focused on, wanted or unwanted. And so it can be the littlest things where you start noticing. So first off, see wealth as resources. You may think you need the money. You might need a connection worse than you need money. You might need an opportunity more than you need money. And you might need money. Get it, totally. But open up to all the other potential resources that you are receiving, that are coming in. And time is a resource. I know in times in my life where I was like, I need more money, I need more of this, I need more of that. I was being given the time to do the work on myself to get to a place of clarity of my own personal power.
Yes.
And if the money would have come, I would have ran off with the money and focused on what I could do with the money instead of where I was being perfectly brought into understanding my gifts, my power, and getting clarity on that. And so clarity, number one, are you in your power? And understand this. Money is an energy. One of our incredible master's class members has this saying, her name's Laurel, I love money and money loves me. I love money and money loves me. You want to get beyond the illusion of lack and limitation? Say that to yourself and you will find out whether you've been living under the illusion of lack and limitation. I love money and money loves me. Because if you have a belief in there that money's bad, money doesn't love you, money always leaves you, whatever it is. And if you don't like money or don't think it's important, so say that to a friend. I don't like you and I don't think you're important. I don't really care if I have you or not. That's what you're saying to money. I don't care about money. Imagine you're saying that to someone you love that you want to have a relationship with. I don't care about you. You're a pain in the butt. You're always a problem for me. You never show up for me. You're always letting me down. Why isn't there more? Why don't you do more? Why don't you do more? Right? Imagine, and that's what we're doing energetically with money. And then we wonder why it doesn't flow to us. I love money and money loves me. Money doesn't own me, doesn't control me, but that's also a harmonious relationship that you are growing, that you expand, that you're going deeper, that you're having experiences together, that you're expressing yourself more. Think about money as that. It's an energy that brings you into a deeper level of expression and expansion and new experiences. That money is your partner, is this energy in the form of money, just like any person is energy in the form of human. If you love it and you embrace it and it matters to you and it's important, you'll have a wonderful relationship with money. And so if you think you don't like money, or you don't trust yourself with money, or it's bad, and then we wonder why it doesn't show up in our life. It's all energy. Everything's energy. People are energy. Relationships are energy. Right? Money is just it's energy with pure potential and possibilities. Just like any loving, deep relationship, the feeling of that is the potential, the possibilities, how you expand, how you experience new things, how you express yourself to each other. See money in that way. So, a perfect example of that is if you've created some type of business and, money coming in gives you the opportunity to express yourself more fully, to reach more people. The council said in a course that we did years ago, marketing, is a platform. Sales and marketing are a platform for you to shine your light and extend your consciousness into the world so that your tribe, like-minded people, your soul family can find you, so that the people that are looking for you can find you. So if you have your own business, or you're trying to put yourself out in the world, and you have this idea that, I don't want to sell and I don't want to market, understand that that's a platform for you to shine your light. Your business, your job, your every relationship in your life, every interaction you have every day is an opportunity for you to put your light and your consciousness in the world. And that is an energetic exchange. One of my other favorite things that we've talked about in several courses is that you see yourself as an employee of the universe. And the universe today might be asking you to spend 15 minutes with a total stranger, just shining your light, seeing them as the divine being that they are. And when we make that energetic exchange, because we are feeling guided that this is what the universe is asking us to do, that is an energetic exchange. And the word that comes to me is expect, but know that the universe works in perfect balance and harmony, and the energy of giving and receiving are one. So in whatever you just gave, you received. All that's asked of you is to stay open and allow it to come in whatever way is the easy, effortless form, or in the highest and best good. And so when we come into this level of consciousness about what is possible for us, our whole experience begins to change. So I hope that's helpful for Diana. But the most important thing I say to you is don't blame and shame yourself and go into what am I doing wrong? Elevate your perspective into how this is happening for you and the potentials and the possibilities for seeing it differently.
Beautiful. I have to share my experience with starting Beyond the Ordinary.
Yes,
Because
please do.
the original intention behind starting it was that I was exposed to some work that I didn't have access to before. It wasn't in my realm of consciousness or my community's consciousness. It just didn't exist. And because of my exposure to it, my life did a 180 and things started evolving and all of this flow started happening and life really started lining up. My intuitive power started coming online. I started having prophetic dreams, like all of these amazing magical things started to peak. It's like, how do I share this with more people? How do I share this with more people? And so the impetus of the show was to take what I knew, merge it with what other people knew, and to bring this out into the world in a bigger way. Instead of me reaching 1,000, 10,000, maybe even 100,000 people by myself, let me reach 1 million people in community. And so that was the reason why. And so I put it out that way. But then a few years later, I started to notice that community was building and these speakers that were like on their own island started gathering together. And then they were like forming friendships and working together and collaborating and even verifying each other's information in different ways. Like this beautiful like architecture that was happening while everybody started feeling like there was more cohesion, that they weren't the ones saving everybody, that it wasn't up to them, it wasn't on their own shoulders. And so I saw community starting to build. But then I started forming these friendships, like friendships that you and I have. They're so precious to me. And those, I mean, that's they couldn't have been formed without that original intention of my why. So I just want to share. And I was broke. I was almost bankrupt. I was one paycheck away from moving with my parents and telling my ex-wife there's no child support or alimony and we'll figure it out another day. Really. It wasn't a paycheck. I was one withdrawal from my IRA account away from that. And still this impetus of wanting to express something through me for the sake of just sharing came through. But then after I got through the realization that yes, these friendships and everything else, it finally landed on me. It finally landed on me. And I hope that y'all hear this and find perhaps this nugget of truth for you, that all this was created for me.
Yeah.
All of it, the people that were, the community that was created, what I was looking for, what made me feel safe, what made me feel at home, what was inviting me to a greater access of consciousness, every single part of it, like the railroad tracks that Sara talked about, it was all being built for me.
Yeah.
The gratitude and the realization of that and the surrender into that and the different layers of safety that came from that awareness. The money couldn't give that to me. The success that I wanted to grow into, the notoriety for who I become and look at me and who I am, none of that could have gifted me what I have now. And the beautiful parts that when you get to this place, and one of my channeled sayings is that once love is given, it can never be taken away. This love, what I receive from you guys, what I receive from Sara in our friendship and these conversations and this expansion of co-creation and creation and in listening and receiving, it's mine forever. It's mine forever. And when we live in that abundance, what else is possible? And that's the baseline. And that's what you're creating, and you're inviting all of us into that and so much more. Y'all take advantage of the special offer. The link's in the chat box again. Click on it, choose your payment option. I love that you're doing that. It's so balanced. It feels so good. And dive in deep. We're going to run the replay all week long, so you're going to have an opportunity to come back and listen to the replay. So we'll send the link up for the replay a little bit later. You can always find the replays at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. Easy enough. And Sara, what's one final bit of a pearl that you can leave us with this evening in regard to the time that we're in and the call for abundance.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story about why you created BTO and just the why behind it. It really touched me, and I've heard the story before,
Yeah.
but there's something so important in what you just said and the energy that was created in what you just said. And for me, I was searching the planet for this wisdom that would answer my questions about who we are and why we're here and what our purpose is and how we live it and what's our highest potential. And I had all sorts of questions and I couldn't find the answers anywhere. I would go to personal development things like take massive determined action and I would read incredible spiritual books that were really amazing, but there was just something that I was like trying to remember. And I never could have imagined that that would start coming through me. And when I started channeling, which was a completely spontaneous experience, however, it was an answer to my longing. It was the fulfillment of my highest desire, which was for wisdom and to know my purpose and live it and understand why I was here. And when the council's wisdom started coming through, it just completely changed my life. And I have such an undescribable love for the council and the wisdom. And I just had to share it. And it was my greatest fear on earth to ever publicly say that I channel, to then go put my channeling in the world. My voice changes, my eyes are closed, the cadence of my speech is not really me. It was my biggest fear. And I wanted to share the wisdom. I wanted to do what I loved every day, which was read the wisdom and talk about the wisdom and channel the wisdom. And I never could have imagined. I never could have dreamt of. I never could have thought to ask for what has come from the simple why of I just have to share this wisdom in the world because I searched the planet for it and I couldn't find it, and here it is. And it changed my life. And I thought that was the best part. But the best part was this right here. Right here. The love, the field of potential and possibility, the miracles, the magical experiences, the people I've met, the things that I just couldn't have dreamed to ask for. And so that to me is living the wealthiest life you could possibly imagine. That to me is, every day seeing opportunities to more fully allow your own worth and your own value to be known by you. But somewhere within all of us, we know we would not have agreed to come into this experience if infinite abundance wasn't who you are. You're a child of God. You're source. You're the divine. You're an extension of God. And so remember that in all of creation, look at all that was created. That you didn't have to figure out. Yet there's unlimited abundance and well-being on this planet for you to enjoy in every moment, no matter what. But it's in a level of consciousness. It's a state of consciousness that you're looking for. And it's always available to you. And everything you need and more will be there. when you allow yourself into that state of consciousness. How do you do that? By not doubting and not denying your worth, your value, your power, the source, and the consciousness of your infinite abundance that is always available to you. Don't doubt it by trying to figure it all out. Don't deny it by telling the story of the illusion of lack and limitation. So it is my absolute honor and joy to be here with you, to be here with BTO, to be here with April. I love you. You are, when I say life beyond my wildest dreams, it is because of our friendship and the incredible experiences we've had and all the different things in my life that has opened up as a result of partnering with you and creating with you and having you in my life. So I'm so grateful for that. So grateful for this community. Thank you for the opportunity. And I will see you all at the Currency of Consciousness starting on March 23rd. Like with all things, I allow it to be choiceless, but I hope you will feel the desire to join us. And it's going to be an incredible experience, both individually and collectively as we move through the currency of consciousness. So thank you.
It'll be a great experience. And for everyone listening, if you're familiar with Sara's work, you know, and you've taken her course already, so you know what's available. And Sara's constantly expanding in consciousness and opening, and the levels of receiving and abundance that you're achieving in your life that are showing up as a physical manifestation because of what you're carrying energetically. I witness them. As your friend, I get to see what's unfolding and get to see in the miracles and how they show up, and they're awe-inspiring. So take it from someone who knows how to create. Sara has her pulse on it, but not only someone who knows how to create, but someone who's also inspired by someone who's creating, and learn from Sara as well in the way that she embodies and lives and shares the information. And it lights me up to a whole nother level. It's like we keep doing this to each other, or she does it to me. And it's wonderful to experience that. And that creates a vitality, that creates a sense of being alive, that creates a sense of reverse aging of youthfulness that's also being affected by this abundance, by this flow that we have access to, the joy. It's amazing. So I highly encourage you to go in deep and to get to know the intimacy of what abundance is. That abundance that I feel from what the show's created and all that, I couldn't relax into that had I not felt that gratitude and had the awareness of consciousness of what was flowing to me for me, that I couldn't control, but that I worked towards. Amazing how it shows up. And Sara has a roadmap for it, has the consciousness for it, has the heart for it, and the inspiration. She's living it. So I highly encourage you to participate in the course. Again, I can't say it enough. Participate in the course. And so with that, Sara, thank you always for your generosity. For your
I
love
love you, my friend. Thank you.
I love you too so much. I love you all also. Thank you for being with us. Have a fantastic evening, and maybe I'll see you in Sara's course. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.